Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our English class. Good evening to all or to each and everyone who are here to listen to another session of learning about English. Again, welcome back to our English class. I hope you all are doing well, especially considering that this is the first day of the week. It's Monday. So I hope you had a good weekend. No, you had a good rest if you were ever able to rest. Or I hope you all had a good Monday. No, since it's still the first day of the week. Anyway, welcome to a brand new chapter in our English journey. Over our past few sessions, we have mastered the language about transportation vocabulary. Now, from the title, we are already on the third session for this topic transportation vocabulary. This is A1 Unit 1, Lesson 10. This is part three of this particular lesson. So, yes, it has been a long set of topic for this particular focus. Now, this session will be the last session for discussion on transportation vocabulary. We are going to talk about the last remaining words or vocabulary that pertains or examples of transportation words, right? So, yes, it is time to really finish all of it. And then after this, as usual, what we always do is to assess. So, after maybe tomorrow, we are going to have exercises, sets of exercises to assess what you've learned so far. Okay? Any question before we start? You can always use the chat box that we have here. I will constantly look for it. No, I will constantly check for it time to time so that I cannot miss any responses. Okay. Anyway, again, our topic is on transportation vocabulary. Now, as defined on the first day for transportation vocabulary, which was last week, transportation is how we connect with the world around us, right? We've had, buses, which takes us to work, the bicycle that you ride to the park, the train that carries you to a new city, the airplane that takes you across the ocean to see across the air to see the world. So every day millions of people are on the move using different vehicles to reach their destinations. So in this lesson, we are going to finish all off with the transportation vocabulary. But before that, let's try to review. Okay, let us review or capitulate what are the things or words that we have learned so far about transportation. Okay, it's very important because this particular topic was last week. No, we had a good weekend. Most of us had a good weekend, so maybe we really need a refresher because we don't know if we have forgotten all the words, right? Anyway, transportation vocabulary. So we had already, met a lot of words. We start with land transportation or land vehicles. Starting with the very famous or common one, which is the car, which we established as a vehicle, as you can see in the picture, a vehicle that has four wheels and an engine that is used to carry a small number of people from one place to another. That is car, which is a essential for daily commuting. Next is we have bicycle. Okay, bicycle. Now, bicycle, there's one as you can see on the picture, or we also famously call it as bike. It is a vehicle with how many wheels? There are one, two. So there are two wheels in a bicycle or bike that is powered by a human being. So this is why bike or bikes are eco-friendly, no, or friendly to the environment because This does not hurt the environment because it does not use fuel or it does not create pollution. It is human powered. Okay. Next, we have the bus. The bus. This is a very large vehicle designed to carry many people at the same time. So it is really vital for public transportation systems. The bus. Okay. So public transportation, from the name itself, it means a service that is open to everyone in the city or in this particular location. Okay. So that is a bus. And then moving on to still on land transportation vehicles, we have the motorcycle. Uh, as here in the picture, you can see that a motorcycle is a powerful vehicle with still, just like with a bike, it has two wheels, but it has a strong engine. So it is not, human powered, solely human powered. Um, because it already has an engine. Though when you try to compare it with a car, it does not have a metal body. Metal body. It doesn't have, yeah, metal body. It doesn't have a metal body to protect the person inside because in a car, you get to be inside. In a motorcycle, you don't get to be in an inside. No, that inside thing will never be happen because look at the picture, the driver is always outside because motorcycle is open. Okay, it's not totally closed. So yeah, that's the difference between the two. Next to that is the truck. Okay, so a truck, as you can see here in the picture, this is really large. No, it is large. It is a heavy vehicle, which is of course designed specifically for carrying things rather than people. So trucks are usually used for carrying things rather than people. Okay, so trucks usually you see it when they maybe deliver furniture. No, this morning. So that is the purpose of a truck. So they are the delivery workers of the world, no, the trucks. And then last one for land transportation vehicle is the train. So the train, well, this is a long, long vehicle which is made of many connected cars or carriages that really travels on the metal rock trucks. I'm sorry. Yes, that is train. Now, again, these are the different land transportation vehicle. We have the car, the bicycle, the bus, the motorcycle, truck, and train. We move on to, okay, water transportation vehicles. Still, I think there are still six examples. We start with boat, the basic one. Well, a boat, this one, it is a small vessel which is of course designed to travel on the water. So boats, in comparison to other type of water transportation vehicle, boats are usually much smaller than this one, than the ship, than the ferry, no? And it is often used for fun, for fishing, for short trips. So that is a boat. And usually it can either be moved by people using wooden sticks, no, to push the water, while other boats really have small engines that help them go faster or move in the water. Okay, that is a boat. Next is the ship. Well, this one, in comparison, the boat is very large. No, it's much, much larger than the boat. So a ship is a very large vessel that really travels across deep, wide ocean. Okay, so ships are much bigger and much stronger than boats because they have to survive big waves. They have to survive strong winds in the middle of the sea. So they are moved by massive, powerful engines that can run for many days without stopping. That is a ship. Okay, next we have the ferry. Now, the ferry, this is more of like a special kind of ship because it acts like a bus on the water. Okay, so like just like this one, if you can see this here, these are people. Okay, so ferries usually travel back and forth between two specific places, like two sides of a river or between a city and an island. So they follow that one. Okay, ferry. And then next we have submarine. Well, submarine, this is a very famous or special or complex vehicle because it really travels deep underwater. Okay, so yeah, that is a submarine. And of course, this is a simple way to say that it is a submersible machine because as you can see, they are shaped like they are shaped like long, thin cylinders or cigars. Okay, that is a submarine. And then we move on to the next one, which is the raft. Okay, as you can see in the picture, a raft is one um of the oldest and simplest ways to travel on water. Okay, that is a raft. Unlike a boat, if you compare it with a boat, a raft is does not have a deep body or hull. Just let me show you the picture again. So this one in the boat, there is a deep body there. Okay, it's much deeper than the raft because the raft is almost like flat. Okay, for a moment, for a moment, because I had to charge my laptop. Okay, all good. Anyway, we continue with raft. Again, raft is, it's basically a flat platform that stays on the surface. So this is the oldest, and simplest ways to travel on the water. In ancient, long, long time ago, this is not plastic or rubber. They use basically, woods to make a raft. Okay. Next, last one is canoe. Again, canoe. Well, canoe, this is really long. Mhm. Let's see this one. It is long. It is thin boat that is pointed at both ends. So that is in canoe. Okay, canoes they are very light. Which means that they can travel in very shallow water where the land is close to the surface. So this makes them perfect for small streams and rivers. So that is a canoe. So those are the different no, water transportation vehicle. We have the boat, the ship, the ferry, the submarine, raft, and canoe. We move on to the air transportation vehicle. Okay, we're still reviewing because, of course, we don't know if you've remembered correctly all the transportation vehicle that we've learned so far in the past few sessions. Okay, anyway, airplane. Let's start with airplane, which is the very common one. It is large. It is a powerful vehicle which is designed to fly through the atmosphere at very high speeds. It is a public transportation. Okay, so that is in an airplane. Next is helicopter. Helicopter is unique. It's very different if you look at it. It is very different type of aircraft in a way that it does not have long, flat, fixed wings, just like airplane. Instead, it has large spinning blades on top, which we call as rotors. Okay, so that is a helicopter. And then next is hot air balloon. Now, hot air balloon is the oldest and most peaceful way for humans to experience flight. Okay, so it consists of a giant fabric bag, which we call an envelope that is filled with air. So underneath the balloon, there is a large, strong basket made of wood or wicker where the passengers and pilots stand during the flight. That is a hot air balloon. Well, from the name itself, how it operates is because it uses hot air, because hot air is lighter than cold air. Okay, so that is a hot air balloon. Now we continue with glider. Still, we are on air transportation vehicles. A glider. This is a lightweight aircraft without an engine. Take note, without an engine. That is a glider. So it's very special, it's very lightweight aircraft, and it is not using an engine. Okay? Okay. Well, if we call the other, or if we think about the other air transportation vehicle, they rely on powerful motors, right? Especially when you think about pushing, this particular air transportation vehicle through the sky. So a glider relies entirely on the natural movement of the air because there is no noisy engine. Flying a glider is one of the most peaceful experiences a person can have in the sky. Okay, so glider is more of like soaring because it does not totally does not have any engine at all. Okay, next we have biplane. Oh, this is a classic aircraft with two wings stacked, just like what you see in the picture. So that is a biplane. No, it is easily recognized because of it has two sets of wings, which are stacked one on top of the other. And the design was very common in the early days of flight over 100 years ago. So that is, when people were trying to experiment which way is the best when it comes to air transportation vehicle. Okay. And then the last one is the king of speed, the jet. Okay. A fast aircraft powered by jet engines. So a jet, it is really a high speed aircraft which is powered by one of the most powerful jet engines. Okay. So this is really fast. So this is the that is why it was called the king of speed when it comes to air because there's this thrust from them. No, this thrust it pushes the jet forward at incredible speeds. Okay, that is jet. And those are the different air transportation vehicle. We have the airplane, the helicopter, and the hot air balloon, glider, biplane, and last one, the jet. We move on to public transportation where we end at this part only. So we did not finish with public transportation vehicle. We still have three more, and we only had this three. Okay, okay. Let's review. So public transportation vehicle, we started with the subway, which is underground usually. So a subway, these are or this is a specialized train system that travels through tunnels deep beneath the surface of a busy city. So they move underground, and because they move underground, they do not have to worry about traffic jams. They do not have to worry about red lights or pedestrians on the street, which allows them to move thousands of people across the city very quickly because it's going really smoothly, no stopping at all. Okay, that is subway, which we also call it as metro, the tube, the underground, etc. Anyway, next is the taxi, which is of course a very convenient personal ride. It is often called a cab. So it is a car that you hire to take you exactly where you want to go, like exactly, which is, unlike buses or trains that follow a set path, they have, where to drop you off and everything else. Taxis, they provide convenience because they have this point to point rides. So when I say point to point rides, this means that a taxi will pick you up at your front door and drop you off exactly at the entrance of your destination. Okay, that is a taxi. And then last vehicle that we've discussed last week, our tram. Okay, so what is a tram? Oh, as you can see here, a tram it is a type. I'm sorry, a tram it is a type of a rail vehicle that travels on tracks built directly into the public streets. So they look like a mix between a bus and a train. So that is a tram. Okay. Next, so those are the different words that you've learned so far in transportation vehicle. Any questions before we officially continue? That was really a long review, right? But it is necessary for you because we don't know if you've forgotten everything. We are going to have an assessment, sets of exercises just to make sure that you've really learned something. Reviewing all the topics that we've learned so far is essential, okay? Anyway, let's officially start with a continuation of the public transportation vehicle. We have first the monorail. Now, a monorail, it is a specialized train. So it is a type of train. It travels on a single rail rather than two tracks. So, as shown in the picture or in the slide, a monorail travels above the city streets. It is called elevated transport because the monorail moves high in the air on tall concrete pillars. It never has to stop for traffic lights or cars, and it looks very futuristic and is often found in, large modern cities or at big theme parks like Disney World. Well, how does this particular vehicle work? Well, the word mono, no, in monorail, that means one. Mono is one, which describes the single beam the train sits on. So some monorails straddle the beam, like sitting on a bicycle, while others just hang underneath it, underneath it, because they run on electricity and use rubber wheels on a smooth concrete rail. They are very quiet and move with a gentle gliding feeling. So this makes them a very comfortable way to travel through a busy, noisy city. Okay? And passengers, they really love the monorail because of the view. Since you are traveling above the buildings and trees, you can see the whole city laid out below you. So it is a very efficient way to move people through crowded areas where there is no more room on the ground for new roads or traditional train tracks. So the monorail, it is a really perfect example of how clever engineering can help solve the problem or the city traffic. That is a monorail. Now it travels above city streets. Next, we have the cable car, which is, of course, this is a mountain climber, right? A cable car, this is a unique vehicle that is pulled through the air by a very strong metal cable. Now, as mentioned here, you can see that a cable car offers scenic mountain views. So this vehicle, it is designed to travel up very steep hills or mountains where it would be impossible for a car to a regular train to drive. So they are often used at ski resorts or in beautiful mountain villages to help tourists reach the top of the peaks. So they are moving without an engine. The most interesting thing about a cable car is that the car itself usually does not have an engine. Instead, there is a massive engine at the station which rotates a giant wheel that pulls the cable in continuous loop. So the cable car, it grips onto this moving rope and is carried along with it. Because the engine is far away, the ride is incredibly quiet, allowing passengers to really enjoy the sounds of nature as they rise into the clouds. Okay? So riding a cable car, it is an adventure for your senses and of course for your peace, because as you move higher, the houses below get smaller and smaller until they look like dots. You can see for many miles in every direction. In some cities, um, in some cities, they are built on very steep hills, like San Francisco or Medellin, which has cable cars that are used every day by local people just to get to work or go home. So whether it is for a mountain vacation or daily commute, the cable car is expected to be a slow, steady, and beautiful way to travel. Okay? And then last one for public transportation vehicle is the trolley. Again, a trolley. A trolley, it is a classic charming vehicle that moves through a neighborhood on trucks built into the street. As mentioned here, a trolley moves through a charming neighborhood. So they're very similar. They are very similar to the, how do you call it? They're very similar to um how do you call it? They're very similar to the trams that we discussed earlier, right? The trams. Let's go back to the trams. That one. This one. Oh, it looks totally the same. It is very similar to trams that we discussed earlier. While trolleys are often painted in bright, traditional colors like red or green and have large wooden seats and brass bells that go ding ding. So that is to let people know they are coming. So this is really a friendly way to travel because trolleys are designed for short trips within a community. So they move at a slow, relaxed pace, which makes them very safe for residential areas where children are playing or people are walking their dogs. And because they are part of the street, you can usually see the trolley coming from far away. It is a very human scale type of transport that really helps a neighborhood feel friendly and connected. Okay? And then, just like a tram, no, there's one. Just like a tram, a trolley gets its power from electric wires hanging above the road. So there is this long pole on the roof of the trolley, which touches the wire to bring power to the motor. So this makes the trolley um, very clean because it does not produce any smoke or smell. So many cities that once removed their trolleys are now bringing them back because they are an eco-friendly way to help people move around without using cars. So a ride in a trolley is a trip back in time and a step toward a cleaner future. Okay? That is a trolley. Now, that is all for the public transportation vehicle. Any questions? Any questions so far, everyone? If you have, you can always chat or share it in our chat box, okay? I am actually constantly checking the stream, especially the chat box if there are responses. Okay? Anyway, we continue with uh um in the remaining session, we are going to have the different terms, the safety gear, the road features, and the traffic terms. So we still have 3, 6, 9, 12 remaining words. Okay? All right. So this is the traffic and road terms. Let's have a 3 minute, let's say a 3 minute rest. So we will be back 30, 6:30 p.m. Is it 6:30? Let me check. Yeah, we are going to be back at 6:30 p.m. See you then. 3 minutes. Okay, we are back. It's already 6:30 p.m. I hope you all had maybe a quick rest. Of course, that is only 3 minutes. I hope you all are settled down now. I hope you all are comfortable in your own spaces so that you are ready for the remaining time of our session. Before we continue, let's take a deep breath to release all the negative energy that you know, we had or we have for this day. Okay, let's just do a quick breather. Inhale, exhale. Again, inhale, exhale. Okay. I hope everybody is settled down and ready for the next few minutes. Okay. Now we are going to navigate the world safely because so far we have spent our last few sessions learning about the incredible machines that carry us across the land, that carry us across the water, over the water, and through the clouds. We know how cars move, how ships sail, and how airplanes fly. But there is one very important piece of the puzzle we haven't discussed yet: the rules of the road. Okay? The different basic terms of the road. Now, try to imagine, imagine a world with millions of cars, with millions of buses, bicycles, but there are no signals to tell them when to stop or when to go. So it would be a total chaos, right? Today, we are going to have that one. No, we're going to learn about the invisible system that keeps us all safe. We are moving our focus to starting with traffic and road terms. These are the signs, the lights, and of course the markings that act as the language of the street. Okay, we will explore the tools that control the flow of giant vehicles and special areas designed to protect us when we are walking on our own 2 feet. So, whether you are a driver, a passenger, or a pedestrian, understanding these terms is essential for your daily life. Okay, let's start to learn how the world stays in motion safely and smoothly. Starting with the first term, we have traffic light. Again, traffic light. Well, a traffic light is one. It is an electronic signal located at intersections where two or more roads meet. So, as mentioned here, its primary job is to control the flow of the vehicles safely. So think of the traffic light as a digital police officer that stands in the middle of the street, which tells everyone when it is their turn to move. So these lights, they use a universal language of colors that is the same almost everywhere in the world. Okay? So when it comes to colors, a standard traffic light has three distinct sections, each with a very important meaning. There should be three here in the picture. Well, red is the most critical color. It means stop. So when the light is red, all vehicles must come to a complete halt and wait behind the line. No, there will always be a timer for that. Next is the one missing here, the yellow or amber. This color means caution to or prepare to stop. So it warns drivers that the light is about to change to red. So it is a signal to really slow down, not to speed up. Okay, that is yellow. And then last one is the green. So green means go. If the intersection is clear and it is safe, the driver can move forward into the street. That is a green. Again, red is for stop. Yellow is for caution or prepare to stop. Green is for go. That is a traffic light. Now, well, of course, you may wonder why we need them. Traffic lights, everyone, they prevent accidents because they ensure that cars from different directions do not try to use the same space at the same time. So many modern traffic lights also have sensors under the road that can detect if a car is waiting, which helps the light decide when to change the colors. In some big cities, traffic lights are connected to computers that coordinate the entire city's movement to reduce traffic jams. Okay? That is traffic light. Next, we have the crosswalk. Okay, crosswalk. This is the pedestrian safety bridge. So a crosswalk, it is specifically designated area. It is the specifically designated area on the road where pedestrians, which means the people who are walking, they are allowed to cross the street there. So, as mentioned here, it is described as a safe zone for people to move from one side of the road to the other. You can usually identify a crosswalk by the thick, bold white lines painted on the dark asphalt. Because these lines often look like the stripes on a zebra, many people in English speaking countries call them zebra crossings. Okay, zebra crossings. So, how to use a crosswalk safely? Of course, there is a rule for that. Even though crosswalk is a safe zone, you must still be very careful because, again, this is a road and different transportation vehicle are passing by. So, what are you gonna do? First is, of course, to stop and look both sides. Before you step onto the road, you should stop at the edge of the sidewalk and then wait for the signal. Many crosswalks have their own lights, no? A walking man symbol means you can cross, while a hand symbol means you must wait. And then eye contact. It is always good idea to look at the drivers in the stopped cars to make sure they see you before you walk in front of them. Okay? So crosswalk um is really important, of course, because we have to walk from one road to another. So that's why there is that one in there. So the road really is a shared space. No, it is a shared responsibility because while drivers must be careful to look for people in crosswalks, pedestrians must also be responsible and only cross at these designated spots. So crossing the street in the middle of a block where there is no crosswalk is called jaywalking. Jaywalking, okay? It can be very dangerous because drivers do not expect to see people there. So that is jaywalking. We do not do jaywalking. Okay? All right. Let's move on to street sign, the road's instructional manual. Well, what is a street sign? A street sign that is a board placed at the side of the road or hanging above it that provides essential directions and information. Just as a book has a table of contents to tell you what is inside, street signs provide instructional manual for the road. They tell drivers where they are, which way to turn, and what the local rules are. So there are plenty of street signs, no? Signs usually use different shapes and colors so that the drivers can recognize them from far away, even if they cannot read the words yet. So there are different signs. As I've mentioned earlier, we have the regulatory, which tell you the laws of the road. For example, when we say a red stop sign is, it is, it is shaped like an octagon. And then there is also speed limit sign, which is usually a white rectangle with black numbers. And then aside from regulatory signs, we also have warning signs. They are usually bright yellow and diamond shaped. They warn you about hazards such as the dead end, slippery road, pedestrian crossing ahead, oh no, and such thing. And last one, we have also information signs. These are often green or blue. They give you directions telling you how many miles it is to the next city or where to find a hospital or a gas station. Okay, so street signs really matters. Why? Because without street signs, we would all be lost. They help us navigate to new places and remind us to stay safe, right? So even if you don't have a GPS or a map, you can find your way almost anywhere just by following the guide signs on the highway. So they are the final piece of the puzzle that keeps our massive transportation system really organized and easy to use. Okay? Next we have the safety gear. So we have license, helmet, and seat belt. Again, we already mentioned or discussed about traffic and road lights. Just the general terms, no? Traffic light, crosswalk, and street signs. Street signs were not really focused. That is on another lesson. But yeah, you were introduced about it, right? Now we have the safety gear. So safety gear, it includes the license, helmet, and seat belt. First off is the license. So, what is a license? A license that is a document that permits you to drive a vehicle on public roads. Okay. However, um, a student of English, it is important to understand that a license is much more than just a small piece of plastic with your photo on it. It is a legal contract between a driver and the government. When you carry a license, you are telling the world that you have spent many hours practicing, spent many hours studying, and learning the complex rules of the road. It is a sign of maturity and responsibility. So, in most countries, you cannot simply buy a license. You must earn it through a process of education and testing. No, that is a license. So, the process of obtaining a driver's license usually involves two major steps. First, a student must pass a written test. This is where you prove you understand the language of the road, such as the meaning of different street signs, the colors of the traffic lights, and of course the laws regarding speed limits. Second, there is the road test. So during this exam, a professional instructor sits in the car with you to watch how you handle the vehicle. So they check to see if you use your mirrors, if you signal before turning, and if you stay calm in busy traffic. Only after you prove you are a safe driver do you receive your official permit. Okay? So the license system it exists to protect everyone. So that is why it is very important. If people were allowed to drive without training, the streets would be incredibly dangerous. The license ensures that every person behind the steering wheel knows exactly what to do in an emergency. It also serves as a form of identification. If a police officer stops a vehicle, the first thing they will ask for is the driver's license. This allows the officer to know who the driver is and to verify that they are legally allowed to be on the road. Without this small document, the organized system of transportation that rely on every day would fall into total chaos. So it is the key that opens the door to the world of driving. That is a license. Very important. Okay. Next, we have the helmet, which is essential shield for your head. Now, helmet, it is an essential protection used when riding a bicycle or a motorcycle. In comparison to a car has a strong metal body, right? So it has glass windows, it has heavy doors to protect the people inside, and a cyclist is exposed. This means that there is nothing between the rider and the hard ground except the clothes they are wearing. Because the head is the most sensitive and important part of the human body, the helmet was invented to act as a personal shield. It is a piece of safety equipment that every rider, regardless of their age or experience, should wear every single time they get on a bike. Okay, so how a helmet works, it is, a modern helmet is a masterpiece of safety engineering. It usually consists of three main layers. First is the outer shell. The outer shell, this is the hard plastic exterior. So its job is to prevent sharp objects from piercing the helmet and to allow the head to slide easily across the ground during a fall, which prevents neck injuries. Next, the liner. This is the thick layer of foam inside the shell. So when a rider falls, this foam crushes or compresses. This action absorbs the energy or the impact so the force does not go into the rider's brain. Okay? And last one, the straps. These are the fabric ribbons that clip under the chin. So their job is to keep the helmet firmly on the head so it doesn't fly off during an accident. Okay? That is a helmet. Of course, safety first. That is the important thing. No, safety first. Many people think they do not need a helmet if they're only riding a short distance or if they are riding slowly. However, everyone, most accidents happen very close to home. No? Even a small fall at a slow speed can cause a serious head injury if you are not protected. So, in many cities, the law requires children and adults to wear helmets because they are so effective at saving lives. Wearing a helmet is a sign of a smart cyclist, so it shows that you value your health, you value your life, and that you understand the risks of the road. It is a simple tool that turns a dangerous fall into a minor bump, allowing you to get back up and keep riding. Okay, that is a helmet. Same with seatbelt. This is for the cars, no, or any kind of transportation vehicle that is a metal body. So a seatbelt is a safety strap that keeps passengers secure in the vehicle. It is arguably the most successful safety invention in the history of transportation. Whether you are sitting in the front seat or of a taxi, the back seat of a family car, or in a seat on a large plane, the seatbelt is your primary defense against injury, right? It is a simple strap made of very strong woven fabric that is designed to hold your body firmly in place, even if the vehicle stops with extreme force. So when a vehicle is moving, everything inside it is also moving at the same speed. If a car traveling 60 kilometers per hour hits a wall, the car stops, but the people inside will keep moving forward at 60 kilometers per hour. This is a law of science called inertia. Without a seatbelt, a passenger would hit the dashboard or the seat in front of them with a lot of force. So there is this sense of restraint for the seatbelt. The seatbelt catches the passenger the moment the car slows down. It spreads the force of the stop across the strongest parts of the human body, which are the shoulders and the hips. So there is this locking mechanism. Okay, modern seatbelts have a sensor that feels when the car brakes suddenly. So the belt locks instantly, which prevents the passenger from moving forward even an inch. Okay, so in the past, many people did not wear seatbelts because they found them uncomfortable. However, today we know that wearing a seatbelt reduces the risk of death in a car accident by more than 50%. So it is really a passive safety feature, meaning it works automatically to protect you as long as you remember to buckle up. Okay, it takes only 2 seconds to click the seatbelt into place, but those 2 seconds can be the difference between a safe trip and a tragedy. Okay, so everyone, it is really important that we are reminded that every journey, no matter how short, must begin with the sound of a seatbelt clicking into place. It is the most important gear in the entire world of transportation. Okay? All right. So that is the safety gear, license, helmet, and seatbelt. We move on to road features, which, we are going to include three terms, basic terms: the road, the highway, and the intersection. Let's start with the road. A road, as mentioned here, the road is essential for transportation, of course. While this seems simple, the road is actually a complex piece of engineering that has evolved over thousands of years to become the foundation of modern society. So our road is specially prepared. It is a specially prepared surface designed to support the weight of heavy vehicles such as cars, buses, trucks, no? Especially as they move from one location to another. So without roads, the wheels of our vehicles would simply sink into the dirt or the mud, which makes it impossible to transport food, to transport medicine, or people across long distances. So roads are the connective tissue that holds cities and countries together. So creating a modern road is a difficult task that requires careful planning. So the foundation for this is that the engineers they first dig deep into the earth to create a solid base of packed dirt and large stones. This ensures that the road does not crack or sink when a heavy truck drives over it. And on the surface, the top layer is usually made of asphalt, which is a black, sticky mixture of oil and small rocks or concrete. So these materials are chosen because they are incredibly strong and they provide traction, which is the grip that tires need to keep from sliding. And then we have drainage. Have you ever noticed that most roads are slightly higher in the middle than at the edges? This is called a crown. It is designed so that the rainwater flows off the sides and into the gutters, preventing large puddles that could cause accidents. So the impact of the road goes far beyond just driving. Roads determine where we live and how our cities grow. Throughout the history, the most successful cities were those built along major roads. Okay? That is road. Next, we have the highway. A highway, this is a large, high capacity road designed for fast, long distance travel. As mentioned here, highways connect cities for faster travel. So, in different parts of the world, these might be called motorways, freeways, or expressways. No, unlike a regular street, A highway is designed for one thing, which is speed. So they are the super paths of the road system, which allow people to travel hundreds of miles in just a few hours without ever having to stop for a traffic light. Okay, so there are different features, no, that there were very specific features to keep high speed travel safe and efficient in highways. We have multiple lanes. Highways usually have at least two or three lanes going in each direction. This allows slower vehicles like large delivery trucks to stay in the right lane while faster cars can safely pass them on the left. There is also limited access. You cannot simply turn onto a highway from a driveway. Instead, you must use an on ramp to speed up and join the traffic. To leave, you use an off ramp. This prevents the sudden stops and turns that causes accidents on smaller city streets. And then the median. To prevent head on collisions at high speeds, highways have a median in the middle. This might be a wide strip of grass, a metal guardrail, or a concrete wall that separates the traffic going in opposite directions. Okay? So the highway is the backbone of a country's economy because every day millions of semi trucks travel these roads, which carry everything from electronics to building materials. Okay, that is a highway. Next, we have the intersection. Now, what is an intersection? An intersection is a point where two or more roads meet or cross each other. As mentioned here, an intersection allows cars to change directions. While roads and highways are about moving forward, intersection is about a choice. It is a place where a driver must decide whether to turn left toward a friend's house, turn right toward the office, or continue straight. Because so many different paths meet at one single point. So the intersection is the most complex and potentially dangerous part of any road network. Okay, so there is a control system for that because it is complicated, it is complex, and because cars are coming from different angles, intersections require strict rules to prevent, gridlock where no one can move or accidents even. So there is traffic signals, going back with traffic light. So that is usually used in the intersection. So most busy intersections use traffic lights to take turns. One road gets a green light to move, while the other road must wait with a red light. So there is also the four-way stop. In quieter neighborhoods, intersections might use stop signs. Drivers must come to a complete halt and follow the rule of the first come, first serve. And then we also have roundabouts. In many modern cities, engineers use circular intersections called roundabouts. Instead of stopping at a light, cars move in a continuous circle until they reach their desired exit. This is often safer and faster than a traditional crossroads. Okay? That is intersection. So which is, a great example of social cooperation. Again, we've learned road, highway, and intersection. And then the last one is traffic terms. We have traffic jam, speed limit, and pedestrian. We already know this one. So these are all familiar to you. Let's start with a traffic jam. A traffic jam, it is a situation where a large number of vehicles are unable to move freely or move very slowly due to a high volume of cars on the road. So as I mentioned here, a traffic jam slows down all vehicles. So instead of a smooth journey, drivers find themselves sitting in long lines of cars, often moving only a few inches at a time. So this usually happens during rush hour. We call it rush hour where the specific times in the morning and evening when everyone is traveling to or from work and school at the same time. So that is rush hour, which causes traffic jam. So traffic jams can be caused by many different factors in a busy city. Of course, the volume, simply put, there are more cars on the road than the lanes can handle. So when thousands of people try to use the same highway or intersection simultaneously, the systems become clogged. Okay? There's also incidents, no accidents, stalled vehicles, or road construction. That can block lanes. They are forcing all the traffic to squeeze into a smaller space. And lastly, we have weather. No rain, snow, or fog can make driving difficult, which causes everyone to slow down for safety, which quickly leads to a backup. So the most immediate effect of a traffic jam is a loss of time. It can turn a 20-minute drive into a 2-hour ordeal. which lead to stress for drivers and increased air pollution as engines are sitting in place. Okay, that is traffic jam. Next, we have speed limit. A speed limit is the maximum legal speed that a vehicle is allowed to travel on a specific stretch of road. As mentioned in the slide, speed limit signs indicate safe driving speeds. So these limits are not arbitrary or random. They are carefully calculated by engineers based on the type of road, the amount of traffic, the presence of people or hazards nearby. So the goal of a speed limit is to balance the need for fast travel with the absolute necessity of safety. Okay, so drivers, they are really informed of the rules through street signs placed at regular intervals along the side of the road. So these signs usually feature a number inside a circle or a rectangle representing the maximum kilometers or miles per hour a car can go. So we have residential areas, so in neighborhoods where people live and children play, the speed limit is usually very low. For example, 30 kilometers per hour, just to give drivers plenty of time to stop if someone walks into the street. On large multi-lane highways, the speed limit is much higher, often 100 kilometers per hour or more, because there are no pedestrians or intersections to worry about. So some modern roads have electronic signs that can change the speed limit based on weather conditions, traffic volume. So lowering the speed when it is raining or when a traffic jam ahead is really normal. Okay? So of course, well, speed limit is there. So following the speed limit, it is a legal requirement. If a driver goes faster than the posted limit, they are speeding, which can result in a fine or the loss of their license. Okay. That is speed limit. And last one. So this is the last word for the transportation topic. We are on to the last vocabulary, which is pedestrian. We already know this one. A pedestrian is any person who is traveling on foot, whether they are walking, they are jogging, or they are running. So in the world of transportation, pedestrians are really the most vulnerable road users because they do not have the protection of a metal car body, a seat belt, or a helmet. So pedestrians, they cross the road using crosswalks, which was mentioned earlier. They are vital part of the city's government, especially in downtown areas where walking is often faster and more convenient than driving. So because safety and infrastructure for walkers and is of course totally should be practiced because pedestrians share the environment with fast moving vehicles, no? So cities should build special features to protect them. We have the sidewalk. These are the paths to the side of the road reserved exclusively for people, so they keep walkers safely away from the lanes used by cars and trucks. We also have crosswalks, which was mentioned earlier. These are the designated areas, often marked with the white zebra stripes, just like in this picture. This is the crosswalk. So it is a signifier that this part of the road is legal and safe for a person to cross from one side of the street to the other. And of course, at many intersections, traffic lights include a special signal for walkers, which often, the image is a walking man icon. So there is this is used to show them exactly when the cars have been stopped and it is safe to enter the street. Okay? Again, reminding you all that the road is a shared responsibility. Safety for pedestrians is a shared responsibility between the walker and the driver. Drivers must always be alert and prepared to yield or give the way to people in a crosswalk. Simultaneously, pedestrians must be responsible by only crossing at designated spots and, of course, avoiding distractions like looking at their phones while near traffic. So, in many modern cities, the pedestrian first philosophy is becoming popular, where streets are redesigned to give more space to people on foot, making the city quieter, cleaner, and much safer for everyone to enjoy. Okay? And that is our last word or vocabulary for transportation topic. Whew, that was really long discussion. Oh no, we had like We had a discussion on for like 3 days. No, this is part three. So we've talked about this one. I'm not reviewing it anymore. I'm just showing it to you. No, all these things we've talked about that. Now, as mentioned, we are going to have sets of exercises on our next meeting, which is tomorrow. So we had a productive session. We had in the past few days and in this evening, we have moved beyond the vehicles themselves and then mastered the traffic terms that govern our busy cities. So today you learn that the traffic jam is more than just a delay. It is a challenge of urban volume that we can solve with patience and technology. Now you discovered speed limit, you discovered seatbelt, no safety gears. So by learning all these terms, you have gained the keys to any city in the world, whether you are navigating a crowded intersection in New York or walking through a quiet neighborhood at home, have the English vocabulary to understand the signs, to understand the signals and the flow of life around you. You should be very proud of the work you have done throughout this entire transportation unit. We have covered land, water, air, public transport, and now the complex world of traffic and safety. So you've built a massive vocabulary that will serve you well on every journey you take. Okay, again, tomorrow we are going to have assessment or sets of exercises to assess what you've learned on this transportation topic. Class is officially dismissed. Travel safety, watch your speed limits, and always look both ways. Okay, goodbye, everyone, and have a great rest of the evening. Goodbye.